Now, a new literary research project in Spain, backed by the European Research Council, is trying to recover women's writing from around Europe, which has not been recorded in academic study. Before the coronavirus lockdown, our reporter Tim Smith joined the team looking for these lost literary gems.
I'm walking through the courtyard of the Library of Catalonia to meet Carme Fontpaz, lecturer in English literature at the Autonomous University of Barcelona. She's also the leader of a new research project called Women's Invisible Ink. The aim of the project is to rescue lost women's writing from the 16th to 18th centuries, much of which has gone ignored, forgotten, or unrecorded.
Many libraries, smaller ones, university libraries, private collections, many of these are not catalogued, and you actually have to go to the place and search for it. And so we are sure that we will find some writers here who have not been located in later editions.
Carme is here with her team of researchers, and one of her team, Maxime Rigaud, thinks he's found something.
To let you show this book, which is by the famous male writer Lope de Vega. It's called Relación de las Fiestas. While there are a lot of male writers in the book, we can also see some women participating in it. We can see Doña Antonia de Nevarez wrote Redondillas.
Moses' divine burning bush is ablaze but doesn't burn. Why do you run after the fire, however far away it goes? How with haughty courage, without opposing resistance, you die for dying when your love is so alive. And if reason warns with its foreknowledge, you create death from life by bringing life to death.
Why is this important? Well, these festivity books had an important function in society, and it's interesting that women could add their own perspective to the celebrations of, for example, saints.
Carme and her team have unearthed many texts like this one, which she says challenge our views on how women contributed to our culture.
We are interested in actually changing the perception that we have of early modern literature. And this perception is that women wrote about subjects that were not necessarily of major interest, or we tend to think that they just wrote for entertainment. And we want to change this perception because this is not a real or a faithful picture of what women contributed in the history of literature and the history of thought. These poems and these letters actually are engaged in either metaphysical questions or domesticity, for example, or politics, or they offer commentary about current events, or moral questions, or fantasy, or science, or medicine. We tend to think that women imitated men, but we sometimes overlook the fact that many men relied on women's sources to produce their own texts.
The job of the Women's Invisible Ink project doesn't end at this search for forgotten manuscripts in dusty libraries. Education and dissemination of the research is a key part of the programme. Before COVID-19 closed down on-campus learning, Carme and her team were giving regular classroom seminars on their findings. Arlette is one of those attending. She's in the second year of her undergraduate course, and she says she's fed up with the way the study of literature is traditionally taught.
We keep studying the main authors like Shelley, Keats, Wordsworth, and we mention the female writers to look a bit more progressive maybe, but then we don't study them. Even though they told me it's easy to read them. I mean, you can just type it on the internet and find them. I'm doing English and French studies, and I'm also interested in the figure of Olympe de Gouges, who did the Declaration of Rights of Women, which when I studied the French Revolution at school, they didn't tell us that a woman wrote this. And also she was against slavery. I mean, why don't we learn this?
Arlette, a student at the Autonomous University of Barcelona, ending that report by Tim Smith. You're listening to NewsHour from the BBC. Welcome back to NewsHour. In a moment, it is president versus president in Ukraine. First, though, that great English institution, the pub, awoke from hibernation on Saturday after the government allowed places that offer hospitality, including pubs and restaurants, to reopen. More than 44,000 people have died with COVID-19 in the UK. That's one of the highest death tolls in the world. And many drinkers here are nervous about returning to their local